Wolfert. He is a former vice president at Visa Europe 6 years ago, and later he shifted to doing business in the digital security space and building digital securities platforms and assisting companies with digital securities offerings. And he's doing some cool innovative stuff in Netherlands, which you will hear about soon in just a minute. So Roel, it's a pleasure to have you here. Please join into the call. Yeah, I can see.
Hey, Boris, how are
I
you?
I
You
I
can
am.
hear me, you can see me.
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, you see my cuckoo's clock behind me, so that's to keep the time for everybody. And, a green area locked up at home again, but enjoying the sunshine from remotely. Yeah, so I'll be in the panel a little bit later on, but maybe a little bit of an introduction here. So compared to the other speaker, I'm a little bit more gray and older, but I'm 25 years in financial services and technology, and have done quite a few things around the world that changed, hopefully, the world a little bit to a better place, at least to an easier place, like global introduction of contactless cards. When I was an executive at Visa, I took part in some initiatives that are ideal, which is one of the first debit card driven internet payment systems. So that's already quite a while back. I was involved in the first mobile payments pilots in Europe, early 2000s. Things like that. So quite a background also in transferring funds. However, today I am a entrepreneur. My company is called Business Creation, and we are a redevelopment company, or I call myself the business doctor. If you're in trouble, we can help. That's basically it. And since we do a lot in technology, and we've been active there, we also got involved in blockchain initiatives. So we founded a company called Liquid, which is a tokenization platform, about 3 years ago. And because we saw that market moving, we also, with all the problems that were there, we set up a foundation here in the Netherlands together with Alan Overy, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Kastbank, which is a custodian here in the Netherlands. But also small tech parties like Liquid, like Valut, and legal experts like Alan Overy. So a whole ecosystem representation. And that has resulted in the CryptoDelta Foundation. And the whole purpose, I think, of CryptoDelta Foundation today is to create and help and support trust and show opportunity to entrepreneurs and investors what's going on. Yeah, we figured out that with all the cryptocurrencies, 90% didn't deliver what was promised or anticipated. The good news is 10% did. Yeah, but there was a lot of lack of trust in how to fund, in money moving away, how does a token work? So many questions that we felt that there was a better way of doing that. Now, most importantly, CryptoDelta is focused around offering options for liquidity for companies and investors. So how can you trade faster, take partial stakes? As a company, how do I get access to funding? And that can be one way. I'm a startup company, I need money, or a scale-up company, I want to expand, or I'm a company and I have, 500 pieces of real estate. How, do I sell a complete building, or can I sell parts? How do I increase the liquidity of what I have? And we are really there to help with the trust in the ecosystem so that it can scale. So to put it really practically, companies call us, they join us as a member, or they ask for an expert session with some CryptoDelta members that we select based on their question. And we just give them 1 or 2 hours and basically explain them everything that they need to do to resolve their problem on a high level. And after that, at least most of the companies or persons can make a clear decision in which direction they want to go using blockchain technology, yes or no, how to get the funding, or how to work with the digital assets, or whatever it may be. So CryptoDelta is really there to stimulate the innovation by facilitating an end-to-end ecosystem for digital assets. We do that for the whole world, but especially for the Netherlands, because we have some very special interests here that are happening. Now, there's one thing I wanted to share with you before we start, and this was in Moscow in December 2017, if I'm not, no, sorry, maybe 2018, but this was the time that me and one of my business associate, Herman, we actually went there. We spoke about, in the middle of the ICO hype, about issuing a real stock share on the blockchain. And I know that initially there were like maybe 20 people in the room. And whilst we were progressing the speech, I think at the end, the people didn't know how to get into the room anymore to understand what was going on, because at that point in time, I think we were probably the first company, at least in Europe, that we know of, to announce a clear share to be issued on the blockchain, Ethereum blockchain. That share was from a company called Bilex. That's one of the companies. It's an IT company that we used one of our own companies to actually do that. So we've actually done one of the first STOs myself, and since then I've been helping and working with probably over 100 companies that are in need for some refinancing, capitalization, but also work with investors that want to invest in tokens. Background, so quite some experience. I'm Dutch, so I'm going to say it as I see it. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily right, or you don't have to agree with me. But I'm also open to questions, and I'm open to opinions, and I'm easily convinced with good facts. So what I want to do today with you guys is share the top 5 mistakes or don'ts that we came across, and share a little bit more about what we feel should be best practice to get this industry to really move faster at a bigger pace, at a bigger scale. Because it's not just technology, it's trust in all parties there, and everybody has a specific role to play. So without further ado, let's go in there, the top 5 mistakes. And as I said, I worked with quite some entrepreneurs to help them, raise capital through security token offering. But I've spoken with even more, many more. And what I generally figured out is that a lot of entrepreneurs are not ready. Yeah, they don't have the knowledge or experience to see which bumps are ahead when you go public. Yeah, because it might not be an initial public offering, but you get multiple investors, and it's not 1 or 2. It's generally hundreds, if not thousands, of new investors, and that means you are public in that sense of the word. And generally, entrepreneurs that I spoke with, I said 9 out of 10, I just advised, don't go this, don't do it. You're not ready for it as a person, or as a management team. What people generally don't see when you explain to them, you're a public company. So that means that people will talk to you, and they want to talk to you. They want to hear from you. They will shame you and give you glory on internet, social media. Be ready. And some people just find it very difficult to deal with because they feel threatened or hurt or things like that when you explain them and show them some examples of mistakes. And we all know the examples for CEOs of publicly listed companies, but maybe when you do an STO, you're not in the CNN news or whatever news, but you might be in your regional newspaper. And that still hurts because your neighbors might know and other things. And that really requires a certain attitude and knowledge how to deal with that. Good training on PR, media relations, public speaking, understanding, how social media works, how to respond, how to set up your organization to deal with social media. And it's not just during the fundraise, it's mainly afterwards that it becomes the hassle. It also means you have to spend quite some time on dealing with these items. So 20, 30, 40, sometimes even 50% of your time in certain weeks, like quarterly results, half-year results. It's quite absorbing, and that takes focus away. So you got a lot of money, but you've got a lot of work to do. Also, what a lot of entrepreneurs that I spoke with don't necessarily see, and that really needs to drill down, is that when you get money, you have to give something back, like voting rights or dividends, and most entrepreneurs, and I'm one myself, we want to be in control of what we do, but by accepting funds from outside, from investors via security token offering or whatever means, that means that they have a say in your business. And most entrepreneurs, or a lot of entrepreneurs I spoke with, they do not have that. People have that say. Anyway, that is number one. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, ask yourself those questions. Am I willing to be a public figure? Do I really want to spend this amount of time on informing investors and working with them going forward? Yeah, and be transparent on everything, et cetera, et cetera. Number two to work with. I think, especially also at events like this, we see a lot of focus on technology and arriving. And I'm a big tech freak myself, so I love this. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're working to raise money, it's about your financing need and the leverage. So raising equity is one side of it, but you need to have a good understanding of what your blended financing mix looks like. So ultimately, when Adyen or whatever company went to the stock market, they went there to get equity side, and against that equity side, that changes their lending facility, interest rate go down because your balance sheet changed. And that means that you, rather than raising 10 million in equity, you can get 5 million in equity and 5 million in additional debt, because that doesn't impact your company. Actually, it makes your company look positive. So with the total raise of financing, with so much focus on giving an asset away, whether it's a share or a brick or whatever the asset is, and put that against money, quite often you see that traditional financing is about blended finance to optimize the value of the company, create the liquidity that you need to really grow without giving away so much of the shares or assets in your business. So traditional financing rules still apply in a high-tech new world. Yeah, and a lot of the people that I spoke with, I'm not talking about bigger banks or financial institutions, but generally mid-sized entrepreneurs, scale-up entrepreneurs, they haven't got the experience to understand the blended finance model with some stock, some equity, business bonds, high-risk short-term lending, long lending, cash pool facilities, et cetera, that need to be understood properly. So, generally talk to a financial advisor, and not a personal financial advisor, but a business advisor, about fiscal policies, about balance sheets, and how things. But above all, look at where your personal desires are and what you feel comfortable with. Because some people say, okay, I just give 3 million of SGD. I don't want any bank loan against that. I feel more comfortable here. But be aware what the possibilities are and what the potential risks are out there. And there's too little emphasis in this industry, from my point of view, because that's generally not spoken about how you do that. That's taken for granted, but a lot of people just are not aware. Number 3, trust. So, I got entrepreneurs coming to me, I've got these solar panels. That's a really great asset, and solar, or classic cars, or real estate. That's all great, but trust is in this world is just not a single thing. It builds up. And in order to convince investors to actually be with you and work with you, you need a little bit more than a good asset. So you need a solid company. And please don't register it in the Isle of Man or in places like Malta, or because you need to protect your retail investors. Yeah, so make sure that you're in a proper governed place under EU law or American law, and make sure that the legal entity that you choose is something that everybody can understand. Like, you know, in the US, a Delaware construct, everybody in the US knows how that works. Yeah. In Europe, there's only one single entity that is similar across all countries. That's the cooperative model. Yeah. So these legal structures have same legal background in all the countries. Hence, you can reach out to as many people in all those countries without, you know, having to go, oh, I am a GmbH in Germany, or I'm in a special purpose vehicle in the Netherlands, or, you know, understanding things like that is quite essential when it comes to trust. Now, trust is also mean, you know, be clear about your planning. Yeah. So don't give some vague plan, but stick to proper standards of showing financial results. And please, people, let's get rid of, you know, I have an ID, give me 10 million and I'll realize the ID, because that time is over. And let's really finance solid companies, solid startups, maybe in sense of a fund, yeah, where 20 or 50 startups are there. Like I see accelerators here in the Netherlands that are putting startups in funds and then tokenize them and give them financing needs based on, you know, the milestones that they achieve. But at the same time, that gives trust to retail investors, mainly, that it's worthwhile doing, because a retail investor in itself in a single startup, that is way too risky profile, because startups is a numbers game. Yeah, and you know, if big players like incubators and startup accelerator programs or venture builders do this with portfolios, then all of a sudden there is, you know, a new type of investor there, because there's trust. So the trust of the underlying asset, that's one thing, but make sure that you have solid people in your management that, you know, do look good in public. Yeah, because people will Google you. And you know, they will look into where the legal entities are, and that does matter. Same as experience, ability to obviously, if you're having a tech company and you only have marketing people there and no tech experience, that doesn't work. But that's stating the obvious. Yeah, the need for marketing. When raising funds, and I'm sorry to say that 80% of the work is marketing. Now, there's a difference between B2B companies and B2C companies, because if you're a successful B2C company, the best way to raise the funds is to go to your customers and actually get them addicted to, because they are addicted or they like the product or service that you provide. It's easy to convince them, package a piece of ownership in exchange for equity and additional funding in that game. And that means that will allow you to do that. But still, keep in mind, you're selling a financial product, and that is still, you know, restricted. If you are the company owner, you can do it, but don't just get any marketing agency to place that, because if you're selling a financial product, if you use an external party, it needs to be a licensed party to sell your product, no matter what type of financial product that is, so to say. So marketing itself in the B2B space, if you don't have followers, then the game is find a few big investors, get your name established in the market so that people can find you, your target groups, your target customers. For example, If you are a B2B firm in the software space, let's say to legal firms, then go visit legal firms. Again, go visit your customers to be your potential investors, or work with exchanges. So there are security exchanges that are licensed, like N Exchange in the Netherlands. There's a few ones rising at the moment in Israel. There's some in the UK that's recently been established, and they have big, or at least a source of potential investors, like 10,000 to 20,000 to 50,000. And that also gives you a marketing channel to find potential investors. But the most important thing with marketing is, of course, to have a great value proposition, a good product at a great price. And price is a sensitive thing, because then we're talking valuation. And valuation is a sensitive topic to entrepreneurs. We have the potential of, and the investor says, yeah, but you only make X amount of revenue. I'm not going to pay you now for your full realized potential. So I think in that sense, valuation, in my view, I always advise is to use 2-3 methodologies, and talk to some initial investors, bigger ones, and see what you can get at, and then raise the rest in the market, in that sense. But valuation is quite essential in any investment proposition. I realize we're a little bit short of time, so let's do it fast is the number 5 mistake. Yeah, people get enthusiastic about opportunities of blockchain or fundraising, and they get in fast. But fast is not necessarily the best thing to do, because you need to get your timing right rather than doing fast. And in order to get your timing right, you need to organize the team. Yeah, your legal advisors, your marketing people, an exchange if you need it, your internal staff, your legal setup as a company. All those sort of things need to be organized and need to move in sync. Also inform your customers, build a group on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Telegram, on multiple channels. These things take time. Don't have a white paper ready and then say, oh, let's do marketing now. No, the marketing needs to start from the moment that this idea incubates. Yeah, and it should be a decision criteria whether you can actually make it and earn the money and get there. And last but not least, in getting the timing right, it's important that you get the experts, because if you make a mistake, your timing sets back in time, and time is money. It costs money to do things like this. I think in the earlier sessions about marketing, it was already said an STO is expensive. Well, it's not the technology that's expensive, but you got to put quite some marketing money in, and that's not €1,000. That's tens of thousands or hundred thousands of dollars or euros, depending on the capital raise that you're going through to make it happen. And that is really where you need to get your bang for a buck, so to say, and get it out in a proper situation. Now, I think I've talked you through at least the top 5 mistakes that I've seen companies being made, and therefore their STO or fundraising actually failed. Yeah, and in summary, entrepreneur was not ready. Yeah, hence they didn't know what they were getting into, and the crowd noticed that. In the choose your right financing, get your marketing aligned, don't go too fast, but also don't go too slow. I've seen companies hesitating so long that the momentum disappeared completely, and they were like, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. Yeah, why waste a year and a half on thinking about it? So these are quite some essential things, and hope they're useful to you. And if you ever plan to do something, just go to the website, send us an email on cryptodelta.nl, and we might bring you some experts or personal advice or whatever. By the way, all those sessions are what we say free of charge. Obviously, we'll try to convince you to become a member of the ecosystem, but that's optional. We are here just to help out and make sure that everybody gets the knowledge and experience that they need to achieve their objectives in this world of decentralized financing and
Sorry,
crowdfunding.
thank you for your speech. Sorry for interrupting. We have the next speaker coming in. You have spoken, I think, more than 20 minutes. Thank you a lot for listing these mistakes. I am definitely sure they save time and money to at least a few people here. So thank you a lot for your speech and waiting for you on the panel.